Hello friends, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel of Football Therapy with me, your host Jan. We're in the trenches, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, apologies, no video yesterday after I was having a recuperation day from the fallout from the nightmare at Brighton. The 4-1 slapping that was probably highlighting many problems of Chelsea's, but also just so potently riddled in narrative that sometimes you got to shake off these L's that apparently Chelsea take every season, whether it's your Burnleys, Brightons, or Bournemouths, or indeed West Broms. Do you remember under Thomas Tuchel, we started with an unbeaten run with him? Then we lost like 5-1 or 5-2 to West Brom. Now, I'm not condoning it, but, you know, happens. Still, we've got to move forwards. Chelsea is a long-term building project with Graham Potter. And one thing we can be pleased with, happy for, is the new ownership are going all in to make Chelsea winners, successful, structurally smart, and that continues, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to talk about that today, and also talk about Graham Potter's further comments on the Chelsea build and in the wake of that result, from an article from The Standard by Nizar Kinsella, as well as giving you an update from Ben Jacobs about what's happening in terms of recruitment. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today. Admin, please drop a like. Takes a millisecond for you. Excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold, and it's a lifetime of happiness for me. If you like the video, yeah, welcome to subscribe, and should you choose to do so, you should hit that sweet, sweet bell, baby. Ooh. Alright, mate, we're going to start off with what Ben Jacobs is saying here on the Twitter sphere. At JacobsBen is his handle. Chelsea hope to finalise the appointments of Christopher Vivell and Paul Winstanley this week. Christopher Vivell, the guy from the RB group. Winstanley, the guy from Brighton. A lot of people wondering why Brighton gave Chelsea such a poor reception to Graham Potter, but the truth is, we took their player of the year, and players player of the year, and fans player of the year in Cucurella. We took their successful manager, his entire backroom staff, and now they're senior figures at the club. They're allowed to be a little bit pissed off. Anyway, so we're hoping to get them sorted out this week, mate. That would be great. A sporting director, this is interesting, is not imminent because Todd Boehly is very comfortable in his current role. He and Todd Boehly will remain heavily involved in January. So it's kind of like a hybrid thing. Maybe Gary Neville was right about him loving playing sporting director, but it's not just him. He's getting a big established team of officials around him to help him out with the running and structuring of Chelsea moving forwards. The titles and structure, until established, are not as important as the dynamic, man, apparently. Chelsea want a transfer committee with the freedom to debate and challenge. Boehly wants a range of experts and perspectives with insight feeding up to him. Oh, look at this sign language I'm doing. It's excellent, isn't it? This may remain, so even if he surrenders his title, as sporting director, I bestow it upon you. Next person, you are worthy. Ben Jacobs is told CFC are looking for 2 more key recruitment hires. Bloody hell, mate, chill out. Before the year is out. The recruitment hierarchy and workflow may take time to establish, especially with the group focused on appointments before a model is fully functional. Senior management team is very confident in the plan. Well, that's good. Loads of people working together to make Chelsea better. Sounds good to me. In the midst of the immediate pain of the South Coast battering, ultimately the long-term plan is good. And this is what we've hoped for. And I know it's a sickening phrase that's been used over and over and over, but, you know, trusting the process. And sometimes the process looks like it shouldn't be trusted. For example, Arsenal with Mikel Arteta. Mate, he was in the trenches for so long, he would have been fired 4 times over at Chelsea Football Club. And as much as it wrenches my gut, look at them now. Smart, and they bought into him. Look, and dare I say it, Graham Potter's a better coach than Mikel Arteta. Certainly more experienced over European football, building up clubs, building up enterprise-style clubs. Mikel Arteta did some work under Pep, fair enough, but, you know, he's a good coach as well. Point is, buying into the process long term, and it's going to be painful before it gets better. And we want to talk about the pain. I want to talk about the Nazarkin Sellers article on the Standard, talking about what Graham Potter said after, or him and Naz. Let's jump into that next. So settle in, take a sip of your drink, and relax. And here we go. Graham Potter believes that Chelsea need to suffer pain. Taking a leaf out of Antonio Conte's book there. Kill the enemy, suffer pain, before they can become the team that they want to be. It follows the Blues' shock. Was it a shock? Brighton have never beaten us. We were undefeated. They were yet to win under Zerbi. It was nailed on. After our shock defeat away at Potter's former club, Brighton, which ended in a 9-game unbeaten run under the new manager. Having seen his side blown away, particularly in the first half, Potter was typically measured as he warned supporters that real progress would take time. I actually think he was a bit pissed off, Potter. He said post-match on the broadcast coverage, and indeed match of the day, and indeed his presser, I've got nothing to apologise for, which is true. Like, they can be pissed off for the aforementioned reasons, but he's like, look, Brighton are this good, they're playing like that. He didn't say it like this, but he essentially was like, yeah, you see that? Me, man. They're me. Do you know why they've got loads of money in the bank from Kukurea and Basuma? Me. I took them over when they were 4th in the relegation battle. I turned them into an attacking team. They're now at the top of the Prem. You know, all this kind of stuff. Like, he's got nothing to apologise for. Absolutely. So he wasn't that chilled. He was, I think he was understandably a little bit rattled. But he said this. It's a case of analysing the game, being calm, being fair, Potter told reporters at the Amex. It's not about the players necessarily, it's about all of us. It's a collective, including myself. How do we do better? It's not a disgrace to lose here. You can see that the opponent was very motivated and they've got some really good players with quality. We got off to a really bad start. I mean, it is pretty bad, Graham, that we lost there, especially like that. But you have to have sometimes, if you want to make progress, well, you have to have that sometimes if you want to make progress. You think the line is going to be straight up, it's impossible. Unless you're Guardiola at City. I mean, even his first season was a bit tricky. But Guardiola at City had the team prepped for him, had the backroom staff prepped for him. So when he arrived, they were good to go. People forget that. The team you saw out there for Brighton wasn't the team that was there 3 years ago. There is a process of pain that you must go through, and you have to try and keep to improve. He's essentially saying, look, in terms of my philosophy, in terms of my football, in terms of my ethos, Brighton are closer to the finished model than Chelsea. That's fair. You can be like, Chelsea, you got better players, Chelsea, you got winners, brands, like, marketable brand players. But in terms of what he wants to implement, they're further down the line than Chelsea. And that's a difficult thing to stomach, but simply the truth, man. Unless there is another way, whenever you are trying to learn or master something to get better, you need sometimes to have, take a step back, have a bad spell, or suffer to grow and get better. It's like the saying goes, ladies and gentlemen. You gotta go through it to get to it. Graham Sue said that. Snapped his fingers. He added, it's only my view, but I'm responsible as much as the players. Sometimes you get things wrong tactically. And I think you got it wrong tactically, Gaza. Don't think people call him Gaza. Can you hear that soaring outside? Fucking geezer's been soaring outside. Sorry about that, mates. Let's read on and hopefully I don't think the mic's picking up too much, which is good. Let's read on. I'm okay to say that because ultimately, if you want to be a role model for people trying their best and trying to improve, you need to be that way yourself. It would be easy for me to blame the players after a game, but it wasn't that straightforward as that. No, it wouldn't be easy for you to blame the players because that wing-back system was rather naive against Brighton. Potter was given time to improve at his former team, more than 3 years in charge on the South Coast. Owner Tony Bloom even opted to renew Potter's contract with the team just 5 points above the relegation zone, which proved a masterstroke as they rallied to their best ever Premier League finish last season. Believing, trusting the process, the Mikel Arteta vibes. The 47-year-old will hope for the same patience from the new Boehly Clearlake regime and explained that other factors also led to such a poor display on Sunday afternoon. Also as well, the way he communicates, and that was a huge thing for Boehly and Iqbali. They're like, look, Todd Boehly said this on the Salt conference. He said, look, Tuchel's an amazingly talented coach. Like, no one is ever doubting that. But we couldn't work with him, and that has to be first and foremost, as well as knowing they're a capable coach. So through trying times, you'd imagine the ownership would be like, yeah, we can talk to Graham, and after fucking... I swore! I dropped the F-bomb. And after poor performances like that, sorry to all the dads with their young boys. Got this in the background. It's a family channel. Yes, look, Graham said this. It's a fact we're missing players. If you do the maths on those players, there are a lot of key players, a lot of talent. But at the end of the day, it's not an excuse. I love that from coaches. Look, this is the situation, but I'm not going to use that as an excuse, but I'm going to make sure I tell you. And when he says key players, he's obviously talking about Reece James, Fofana, Kante, and Koulibaly, which fair play, they're big four, aren't they? I have to do better. We have to do better. We will. People want simple answer, and I get that, but it's quite complex. There's a lot of things involved, and I have to start with myself, namaste, and think about what I can do better. Outside. A dead rubber Champions League match midweek will give Potter the chance to rest players ahead of 3 difficult games against Arsenal. Gulp. That would be just the tonic. If we can beat Arsenal at home, everything would feel better, wouldn't it? Manchester City, oh god, and Newcastle, terrifying as well, by the way. Before we break for the Winter World Cup, we could lose every game before the World Cup, but let's not think about that. His side will have to improve in those 3 games against some of England's best teams, but having jeered throughout the match against his former club, Potter may wait until the emotion subsides before reviewing footage of the match. I might have to give this one a bit of time, to be honest. It's tough. You have to make sure you have a clear head when you analyse it, but I know the quality of the team we're playing against and the atmosphere. I never saw it like that. 3.5 years I was there. They were a motivator. Of course they are. The narrative is all over the gap. Look, of course we are playing midweek in a dead rubber, rotated side. What do you want to do? You want to see your Amari Hutchinson, who was on the bench against Brighton. The day out for him, sadly, not a fun one. And he's a baller. Of course, the young lad we got from Arsenal. If he might, why not let him play midweek and express himself in the first team? And you've signed from Arsenal's academy. You come to Chelsea, and within weeks you're playing in the first team in the Champions League. Ooh la la, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? Also, a quick mention for the Dennis Zakaria paradox. What the hell? Apparently, dude's on 200k a week. Now, I think something's going on here. I think there's something, I'm speculating, and this might not be true, but maybe there's a clause in his contract that if he features for Chelsea, if he plays professional minutes, then we can't send him back in January, because we don't like the look of him, and we see it's a mistake. This is just straight up weird, especially when we're getting done in the midfield, and Kovacic looks like he's been really this guy's soaring, we've been aggravating his injury and stuff. Surely it's, why aren't we going for Zakaria? I don't know, something's going on. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below about Dennis Zakaria, because it's weird. It's a sad situation. Yeah. It's gonna get worse before it gets better, ladies and gentlemen. Strap yourselves in for a very difficult time, but hopefully for a prosperous future. As a Chelsea fan, with an ambitious, very, very new ambitious ownership that are willing to throw money into the game. Good, right? We've got a nice coach who would never dig the players out, who's a very good coach. Stability should follow, right? Right? Let me know what you think. Comment down below. Drop a like on video. Thank you for showing your sweet love and support. I appreciate that, man. Yeah, thank you for subscribing, commenting, and hey, hot dog, sharing. Do people share videos anymore? Don't know. Feel free to, though. Alright, fellas. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.